after a year full of relative disappointments, we're almost 3 months into 2024 and I haven't played anything good. We have finally had a good weekend in gaming. Wow. That was crazy. A Nintendo Direct drops. We got a lot of new information, and we got a handful of stealth drops. Side Order came out. Unfortunately, it was disappointing and actually pretty gay. You have Core Overlord, which has been fantastic, and finally, you have something that is, I think, the game of the year contender so far, right? Something that I wasn't really expecting to be this good, and that is Penny's Big Breakaway, right? The 3D platformer from the creators of Sonic Mania. Now, as a bit of a disclaimer, I did not like Sonic Mania, right? I was very critical about the game. I thought it was a rehash of older Sonic games. I thought it didn't really innovate enough. I thought it was way overhyped. I thought people were like, um, we're just starving for Sonic content, right? From competent developers that actually respected the IP, right? And I still stand by that opinion. I really don't like Sonic Mania at all, even though I acknowledge it as being objectively better than Forces, than Frontiers, and than anything else the company has done since then. But like, I really thought that the developers had a lot of talent. I thought they could have done something great if they were given a lot more free reign. And the direction they decided to go in, we're gonna make our brand new 3D platformer with our own original character and setting. I thought this was a really good move on their part, right? It could have been so easy for them to become like the 2D Sonic company, but they 2D Sonic people, I'm not even sure if they're a full company. Like it would have been really easy for them to do that, right? But instead, they took a major risk. They did something completely new and different, and it pays off, right? Like it paid off, right? I am like shocked at how much fun I'm having with this game, right? In certain ways, I would say it's like better than something like Tropical Freeze because unlike Tropical Freeze, where like the levels are like very, very quick, right? They're very brief. Like you always feel like they're over before they get started. Like Penny's Big Breakaway, one of the big things it does more than any other like platformer like it I've ever seen, it actually does have insanely long levels, right? All of which are elaborate, all of which have all these unique visuals and like designs and styles, all of which have like completely different like vibes and like obstacles to overcome. Like this is a top tier indie platformer, right? This really is one of the some of the most fun I've had with like a game like this since like I don't know Shovel Knight, right? Like I can't think of a 2D of a platformer from an indie studio that like managed to like nail this just as much as Penny has. And in a lot of ways, I think I prefer this to Hollow Knight. I think this game is a lot more original. I think it has interesting mechanics. I think it's just spectacular. It's charming. It's bright. The character is fun. And it really does do quite a bit of things differently than most platformers, right? From the design to like the general concept, right? Because it's not often that your character in a game like this is technically a convicted felon, right? Well, like, like the characters are coming after her because she like disrespected the king, the emperor, Emperor Eddie, which is like considered illegal, and like she caused a real problem, and she's like on the run. Like the entire game, it's a 5-star like GTA style like run away from like the penguins that are after you, right? Like it's ridiculous, it's absurd, but like it really gives the game like a kind of different vibe than what you're used to seeing. Because like Penny's not a bad person, obviously, but at the same time, but like wow, like she's not exactly the most popular person ever, and she confronts a lot of characters on the way. Uh, you know, people associated with the king, people who are like there at the event, people who like know who she is, and she gets into like all these confrontations. The boss fights in this are some of the most interesting I've seen in a long time. There's one where like this giant ball on legs is like throwing his head at you, and you knock him down, and then you have to like take his head and then like shoot it into a billiard ball hole, right? And it does such a good job like being innovative, having a fun interesting design, being unlike anything else like any other developer has done. Like this is, I think, like honestly a hallmark, like a landmark achievement in this kind of 3D platforming game, because like a lot of people argue that this stuff is kind of really played out, but I there's so much about this game that I don't think has really been done before, right? Like it's a really interesting blend of like of just like intense platforming and action, right? Like I just find myself just completely enamored with it, right? Like the character can get on her yo-yo and just go like skirting over the water, right? But like the yo-yo doesn't have like endless momentum, so eventually you start skipping and then you'll sink, right? Like it can go over lava, like you go up like lava waterfalls, like lava falls, I guess they are. You get into these situations where you have to narrowly like uh like attach your yo-yo to bars and then swing yourself up and then like land on like spinning platforms. Like it is incredibly fun. It's so fast paced and so good. Like I have been addicted to it. I've played it like several times over the past day or so. I haven't beaten it yet. I wasn't able to play it day one, but like I have been playing this game a lot. I think I'm on like World 5 now, like 5-3, I think. I'm about halfway through probably. And like every time I play the game, I'm just like blown away about what I'm seeing. Like this is a phenomenal game. Like there's no contesting that. I think one of the big major releases on Switch this year, and I suppose Nintendo must have recognized it themselves because they promoted this game quite a bit. It was, I think, the big stealth drop release on this past Nintendo Direct, available today. And I usually don't care for the available today titles, but like this one really did it for me. This one has really impressed me so far, and I hope it manages to keep its momentum all throughout. Like, I think if it manages to like have a really good finish, this could like solidify itself as like one of my favorite indie platforming games ever, right? Like, it is just so much fun. And I think it has a lot of replay value too, because there's like a score system, and I think there are like some side quests you can do during the levels. Like I'm not interested in doing them now, but like it might have quite a bit of replay value into it. And honestly, I'll probably like end up replaying this game at some point anyway. It's just so unique and interesting, and something that I hope is going to do very well. Now I believe it's like number one on like the Switch eShop charts right now. Like I believe it's done fairly well for itself. I've heard nothing but positive things about it. Like everyone's over the moon about it. I do think this is the best game released so far this year. This is one of those titles that I just think just stands heads and shoulders above most of its contemporaries, right? Like I do think this is a legitimately great game, one that really should be talked about and played by everyone who hears of it. So go out there and buy Penny's Big Breakaway right now.